If I looked outside the box, my vision could be that every mental health center in Chicago that was abolished be put back. And the only way that's going to happen is that it comes from us, the people.
This was something in our neighborhood that was definitely needed. They were closing them left and right, so therefore we had to figure out a way, what about us?
So our hope is we keep community involved, we keep people involved, and we change the course of how people think about mental health.
In 1963, President John F. Kennedy signed the Community Mental Health Act. It gave cities federal funding to build their own mental health centers. But with nationwide cutbacks since the 1980s, Chicago has watched nearly all of its centers disappear. At its peak, the city had 19 public centers. Only 5 currently remain. Without access to funding, community activists have started working together to build their own clinics and bring back what was lost.
It's been 6 days since Elena died. It has felt like many things in life, simultaneously longer and shorter. It has been and will continue to be a journey, one of sadness, mourning, but more importantly, one of hope. My genetic preload for serious mental illness is very high. My family is full of serious mental illness. There's suicide in every generation of my family that I know. I've gone to counseling since I was 14. I've seen a psychiatrist since I was 14. I'm not afraid to say that, but most people are. And I think if more people had access to that it'd be a huge difference. As a nurse, I can confidently say that patients suffering from mental illnesses or just mental health crises are huge utilizers of the emergency room. And so it ends up being a huge cost to society and to community. And that's just if they end up in the hospital. If they end up in prison or in jail, that's a far greater cost. So, and not only is it a cost to us, but it's a lost cost for that person who spent that time in jail, who could have developed other coping mechanisms and held a job and paid taxes and, But I think having a community mental health clinic is very important. It's kind of a way to bring visibility to mental health care and also just a way to make it accessible to people in our community.
Open since October 2014, the Kedzie Center is the first of its kind on the north side of Chicago. It's run under the 2011 Community Expanded Mental Services Act, which allows communities to vote for an increase in their property taxes to fund a new mental health center. Advocates say places like the Kedzie Center could be the key to ending cycles of violence and abuse in the city.
Having lived in Chicago my entire life, I'm aware of the risk factors that accompany urban living, especially for youth and families. I think in some communities where treatment isn't available and the trauma continues and it's unaddressed, it can be passed on to the next generation. And so it becomes this long-standing problem in some of our communities. Probably at least 50% of our clients are under the age of 21. I used to work at the Juvenile Detention Center in Cook County. And I would hear over and over from parents that they tried to get their children help, but their symptoms weren't severe enough. When children are exposed to trauma in their early years and never have an opportunity to be treated, it makes it really difficult for them to be in learning environments, for them to handle social situations, and that just puts them at risk for other problems. So when we can take care of those problems early, we hopefully prevent problems in adolescence and adulthood.